On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, new evidence suggests Tesla's Robotaxi network is about to roll out in 2 more southwestern U.S. states. Plus, using non-Tesla chargers is about to get easier for Tesla owners in a new pilot program. Tesla Energy unveils the Megablock and more. What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey alongside Daisy the Boxer and Lily, the giant baby Labrador. She's up to 58 pounds. This is Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast, publishing on September 14th, 2015. I'm recording it as usual on Friday evening here, September 12th. Well, hopefully you won't be able to tell over the course of the episode, but I am exhausted today. I got up at 5 a.m. on purpose to pre-order the new iPhone. It's the first new phone I've gotten in 5 years. So I'm like, all right, it's time. And I guess I want it on launch day, so I better get up right at the pre-order time. And sure enough, it was some pre-order chaos. So that's done. At least that's all secured. But I couldn't get back to sleep. I thought, okay, I can just get up, pre-order it, go back to sleep. Didn't happen. So here we are. I'm running on fumes, but hopefully you won't be able to tell. No, I've got enough energy for Ride the Lightning because I always have a blast doing this podcast, and you all are so super supportive. So let's get started. First up this week is the headline story. This should not surprise any of you who've been following along with all of this in the last number of weeks and months, but it looks like we know the next 2 markets that Tesla's Robotaxi network will be activating in next, and seemingly soon in both cases. We start in not my home state, New Jersey is my home state, but the state I grew up in for the most part. That would be Arizona, the Phoenix area. Ex-user ADub0808 posted a video of a new Model Y on the freeway in Tempe, Arizona. Couldn't tell if it was the 60 or maybe 101. But anyway, Tempe, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix, part of the greater Phoenix area. It's also where I went to college at Arizona State University. But anyway, that Model Y had obvious self-driving testing equipment on the roof of it. We've seen Model Ys with this before in other places, giving us a very strong hint that the Robotaxi will be coming to the Sonoran Desert and fairly soon. Of course, again, this is no surprise because Arizona has already been mentioned by Tesla as being on their short list. Plus, Waymo's already there. Thus, the way has been paved a bit, figuratively speaking, at least in regulatory terms. So if you are a listener of mine in the Phoenix metro area, get psyched because you may very soon have access to the Robotaxi network. So the other state that we got wind of this week, or at least some evidence of, is Nevada. Likely Las Vegas, but we don't know which city for sure. Reno is definitely on the table. It is a possibility, given Tesla's presence there. And this comes from our Tesla tipster friend Sawyer Merritt, who posted on X saying, quote, Tesla has officially received approval from the Nevada DMV to start testing autonomous vehicles, aka robotaxis, on public roads. He says, I confirmed directly with the Nevada DMV that Tesla's application to obtain a testing registry certification was approved by the DMV Office of Business Licensing team. Autonomous plates and the registry certificate were also sent back out to Tesla this week. Next, to officially start offering robotaxi rides to the public in Nevada, Tesla will need to complete the self-certification for operations. That's the last step to roll out a service similar to the one they currently operate in Austin, Texas, where there is no one in the driver's seat. This approval shouldn't be difficult to get, posits Mr. Merritt. So, Phoenix and hopefully Viva Las Vegas quite soon in terms of Robotaxi, presumably. And that's all great news. The rollout is happening. I don't know. I mean, for something like this, I guess there's no real playbook or rule book for it. The rules are kind of being written as we go along in terms of the technology and how quickly it can roll out. I guess all we really have to go off of is Waymo. Like, Waymo was the first to actually get into the market, to actually offer it to anybody, to a regular customer. And it seemed like Waymo's process was a lot slower and more deliberate in terms of rolling out to additional markets. And that's probably because they have a very hyper-specialized solution to their self-driving system, whereas Tesla, as we know, has developed a generalized AI solution so that it can work pretty much anywhere pretty quickly. And we are seeing that now. Austin, and then not too long after, here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and now Phoenix appears to be next, as well as somewhere in Nevada. I would put my money on Las Vegas. Speaking for myself, I took 3 Robotaxi rides this week, and I will tell you all about those later in the podcast when we get to the part of the show near the end where I just tell you about what I've been up to with my Teslas, because I don't want to waste any more time. We've got a million things to get to on this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, and I will go next here, which is as a follow-up to last week when I was talking about potential successors for Elon Musk, since he and the board have formally put succession planning into his proposed new compensation package. Longtime loyal listener Anthony Helmstetter suggested this week's Patreon poll on that topic, which asked you for your thoughts on who you'd like to see be at the top of that next in line list. And so the poll had 4 choices plus a 5th other choice. And then in the comments, there were a couple of really excellent suggestions that I wish I had included in the main poll. But of the 4 choices other than other, 55% of you voted for J.B. Straubel, who of course is a Tesla co-founder, the former chief technical officer of Tesla, and you all remember him from my interview with him back on episode 501. Coming in second place in that poll was Lars Moravy, another friend to Ride the Lightning, Tesla's head of engineering. 31% of the vote for Lars. And then I put Tesla's CFO in there. He got 1% of the vote. And Ashok Eluswamy, Tesla's VP of AI software, aka the head of the FSD team, I threw him on there as well, given his engineering background and intimate knowledge of everything the company's doing at an engineering level. He got 4% of the vote. And then the couple of folks I wish I'd included in the poll, thank you to a number of commenters who mentioned these in the comments. There was Tom Zhu, who heads up, he had been heading up service for a bit. Now I think he's back to logistics, but he's basically the gentleman that oversaw the development and the very rapid development and then the operations of Giga Shanghai, which, as we all know, is Tesla's most, what's the best word here? Efficient, highest output factory. And it's not even close, Giga Shanghai. There were a number of commenters that mentioned Tom Zhu. Matt Kalin threw out Gwynne Shotwell, who's running SpaceX alongside Elon. I thought that's a great suggestion. I don't know if she would want to bounce over from SpaceX to Tesla, but in the event that something happened to Elon or that Elon stepped down, hopefully nothing happens to him. I just mean like in terms of him retiring. I don't mean any physical harm, certainly. But Gwynne, you would think she would be the first in line to just assume the CEO role at SpaceX rather than bounce over to Tesla, but that's not what this thought exercise is about. So that's a good suggestion. And then another good one I saw in here, where'd it go? Mike suggested Drew Baglino, who left Tesla not too long ago. He's working on power grid stuff now, as Mike notes, could fold into Tesla's master plan. But Drew was the basically the battery boss, the chief of all battery things at Tesla, the primary person behind the development of the 4680 battery cell. So that is a good list from those of you on Patreon. And again, for the Patreon poll, you don't have to be giving me a dime. You don't have to be supporting the podcast. The poll is open to everybody every single week. Just swing on by patreon.com/Tesla podcast every week. Typically, the new poll goes up on Tuesday. We had, let's see here, almost 300 people vote in this week's poll. So thank you to everybody that took the time to stop by and cast your vote. Next up this week, Tesla has discontinued the very short-lived long-range rear-wheel drive trim of the Cybertruck. I had to go back and look this up to see exactly what the timeline was. That truck was announced in April, and Tesla had said that deliveries of it began in June. So for all intents and purposes, it effectively lasted 3 months in terms of the amount of time they were actually delivering to people and building that truck. It had been $70,000, in case you needed a refresher there. It was $69,990. And as you all know, it was also a pretty stripped down version of the Cybertruck. No tonneau cover, let alone a powered one. No adjustable air suspension. It had fabric seats, and those fabric seats didn't have any ventilation cooling capability. It had a lower payload, a lower towing capacity, no second screen for the second row passengers, a much slower 0 to 60 time, no bioweapon defense mode, fewer speakers in the sound system, no power outlets on the inside, no power outlets in the bed, and no light bar on the back either. And I know I've said this before, but now that it's officially discontinued and more time has gone by since the last time I said this, I'll say it again because it's still true. I live in the very Tesla-tastic San Francisco Bay Area. Tons of Teslas here. I see them every day of all varieties, except the original Roadster. That one's still a pretty rare sight. But I see all 5 currently in production Teslas all the time. And I can honestly say I have literally, it's no hyperbole, no exaggeration, I've literally never seen a long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertruck in person. And they would be easy to spot even from a distance due to the smaller and distinctly different wheel design on them and the lack of tonneau cover on them as well. So I didn't see a single one. I'm sure eventually I'll see one, but the whole time they've been in production and been for sale, I did not see any of them. I see plenty of Cybertrucks every day if I go out, take a drive anywhere. I will see plenty of Cybertrucks, but none of this long-range rear-wheel drive trim. I mean, they seem now destined to join the Model 3 mid-range as Tesla unicorn trims, of which not many must exist. And if you're a relatively newer listener, and I guess you don't even have to be a new listener because the Model 3 mid-range was offered back for a very short time in the fall of 2018. So about exactly 7 years ago, Tesla offered this as a way to try and get the price of the Model 3 down in the early going. The mid-range trim, and I want to say, I think it had a 260-mile range. If there are any mid-range owners out there, you can correct me. I guess I could just Google it after I'm done recording this. But the mid-range did not last long. There are not too many of them out there. And again, I would call that a Tesla unicorn. And we can now, I think, pretty comfortably add this variant of the Cybertruck to the Tesla unicorn list as well. I just can't imagine that very many people at all bought them. And not just because I haven't seen any of them, but we know the overall numbers of the Cybertruck, and they are disappointing so far. And granted, I will have to, catch myself here. Price is the number one contributor to that, in my humble opinion, to the disappointing overall numbers of the Cybertruck. And this truck did address the price very, very directly. But as I said back when this trim was first unveiled in April, for me, it just took away way too much of that truck in return for that lower price. But I'll say, to end this optimistically, maybe Tesla's finally in a position to lower the price of the existing awesome, fully featured dual motor Cybertruck, and maybe that's part of the reason that they are getting rid of the long-range rear-wheel drive trim. And I do say part of the reason because I suppose the end of the tax credit must also be a contributing factor here, because obviously there will now be no motivation for Tesla to sell a truck under $80,000 just to qualify for the tax credit, no matter how much stuff they had to strip out of it to get it under that price point. So we shall see, but that trim is now officially retired on the Cybertruck. Before I continue with this week's Tesla and EV news, I wanted to mention this week's Lightning Round mini episode that I do exclusively over on Patreon. For all of you kind souls that are supporting the podcast over there, you can head to patreon.com/Tesla podcast. There are a bunch of support tiers there, starting at just $5 a month. It's the $10 per month tier that's the most popular one, probably because you get all of these lightning round mini episodes. I do one a week, and you also get the ad-free episode and early access to that ad-free episode that the $5 tier gets. So this week's lightning round topic was the 5 menu items that I would add at the Tesla diner. So I've had the privilege of going twice now, and these are the 5 things that I would like to see added to the Tesla diner menu. I'm looking forward to reading the comments on that from people making their own suggestions for what they'd like to add to that menu as well. So again, if you'd like to join me on Patreon, you'd be supporting the podcast, which again is free every week. It always has been, it always will be. But if you'd like to support me, the Patreon is the way to do that. And whether you're pledging at the $5 per month tier, the $10 per month tier, or higher, I try to offer some perks and bonuses and ways to say thank you for your support. And that lightning round weekly mini episode is the most popular way I do that statistically based on how many people are at that tier on the Patreon. So hopefully you enjoy that and all of the other 150 something of those lightning rounds. So again, check it out if you get a chance, patreon.com/Tesla podcast, or just click the link in the episode description. Next up this week, we have, of course, already seen Tesla welcome in non-Tesla vehicles to the Tesla supercharging network and provide them a super easy way to charge their vehicles and pay for that juice through the Tesla app. Well, now Tesla is turning that around and returning that favor of convenience to Tesla owners and offering a new, convenient way to quickly and painlessly charge and pay for Tesla owners at non-Tesla chargers. Saw this on the official Tesla charging account on X, and they wrote, "Introducing MultiPass, using your Tesla account to charge at non-Tesla chargers. Simply activate your Tesla keycard or use the Tesla app to start charging at non-Tesla chargers. Find chargers, start charging, and view charging history all in the same convenient location. Live today for Tesla owners in the Netherlands. More sites and countries soon." So I'm jealous of those of you who are in the Netherlands that get to test this out. Max de Zeger from the Tesla charging team, I've cited him here many times because he is a frequent poster on X talking about what the Tesla charging team is doing, and I very much appreciate him posting about that. Well, Max posted a response to that official announcement there saying, "Nobody likes creating more accounts with payment details and passwords. For charging, this can even mean needing a third-party charging card mailed to your house. Starting in the Netherlands today, meaning this past week, your Tesla app and your existing Tesla keycard can start charging at third-party chargers. We'll expand this to more countries quickly if customers love it. To make ownership effortless, the Tesla app should really be the only thing you need. Thank you, Max. And my response to you, Max, is you'll expand this to other countries if customers love it? How could they not love it? Granted, I haven't used it, but from that description, I sure can't imagine how we wouldn't love it. This just seems like a really smart way to do this. And finally, a tangible use for my backup physical Tesla keycard that lives in my wallet. And the thing is, if you don't carry a wallet, if you're one of those folks, you're just totally digital, you don't even have to use the Tesla keycard for this purpose. If you don't carry one, you can just use the Tesla app, as they noted. Now, I admit, I personally do not use third-party chargers very often at all. In fact, really the only time I ever do, it's on occasion, and it's because it's in a particular parking garage near my favorite pizza place in San Francisco. And the EV charging spaces in that parking garage are nice and wide to help minimize the chance of door dings. So I happily will plug in and pay to charge, even though it would be cheaper to charge at home, in exchange for getting that much wider parking spot. And that particular spot is a charge point post. And so that's the one I can comment on having actually used. And I'll say ChargePoint, it's not the worst app to use, but it's also a far cry from the ease and convenience of the Tesla UI, the Tesla app. So if Tesla can bring that or a version of it to third-party chargers, which that's exactly what they've done, it only makes fast charging easier and more convenient to everybody, thereby removing some pain points in the overall EV ecosystem, which is a good thing for the entire EV movement, if you ask me. So, Max, if you're listening, I really hope this makes it over to the US soon, and hopefully everywhere, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, etc. Everywhere Tesla is, I hope this functionality will follow very shortly. Next this week, I know that I don't typically cover the energy side of Tesla's business on this podcast too often, but Tesla made a big new announcement in that department this week that I wanted to bring up here. They unveiled a new grid-scale battery backup system this week, and it is called Megablock. That has a very Spaceballs sounding name, doesn't it? Which, of course, fitting for Tesla. I guess I'm hearing Mega Made in my head, but it's Megablock. So here's the text accompanying the video that was on Tesla's official X account. They said, Megapack is our utility scale energy storage platform, a key part of our mission to achieve sustainable abundance via sustainable energy. Tesla Megapack stores energy when production is high and discharges/releases it when the grid needs it, balancing renewables and supporting a reliable grid. Megablock is our pre-engineered medium voltage block, designed for 20 megawatt hour AC, 25-year life, and more than 10,000 cycles. 91% round-trip efficiency at medium voltage, inclusive of auxiliary loads, ambient operating temperature range from negative 40 Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. It has a 23% faster to install time with up to 40% lower construction costs, site level density of 248 megawatt hours AC per acre, with all clearances needed for installation and service. And then they mentioned that Megablock uses Megapack 3 with a proven inverter and fire system, a drastically simplified thermal bay with 78% fewer connections, the latest cell technology, supply from the US, meaning battery cell, not cellular telephone, supply from the US, Southeast Asia, and China, and they have a 50 gigawatt hour per year manufacturing capability for the Megablock. Deliveries start in the second half of 2026, and they say software and services from Tesla demonstrated across more than 36 gigawatt hours of a global operating fleet. So I have to admit, first and foremost here, that I know very little about this compared to the vehicles, but from what even I, a layman, can see / read, it seems clear that the ceiling on this, and meaning by this, I don't just mean the Megablock, but I mean Tesla's entire grid storage solution ecosystem, the ceiling on it is still sky high, and that Tesla is almost certainly not even close to tapping into what all of this is capable of. I mean, this is a huge leap forward for grid scale storage in a lot of ways, as you heard from Tesla's description, but the big one certainly seems like it's going to be the one that ultimately decides how successful this is, and that is, of course, money. Tesla mentioned up to 40% lower construction costs, because obviously by cutting construction costs way down through, no doubt, speed and simplicity, it's just going to convince more utilities and other large-scale enterprises and municipalities to go this route, to do a Megablock. So I think it's kind of a lot like the Tesla Semi in that regard, meaning nobody in this space is shopping for which utility energy storage system looks the best. No. It's not about sexy. It is all about the bottom line. And Tesla, as we've just heard, has a very strong argument with both the bottom line argument for this and also the bottom line argument on the Tesla Semi as well. And remember, too, that the energy side of Tesla's business has been booming even while the car business has struggled a bit. So Megablock should only serve to keep the good times rolling on the energy side of things at Tesla. Here's a fun story next. We've got a couple of interesting new nuggets that have been unearthed from the latest decompile of Tesla's iOS app code. And this comes courtesy of the folks at Tesla iOS App Updates, whose X account handle is Tesla_app_iOS. They mentioned that there's a line of code in there for a new paint color called Silk Road Silver, with a mention of a hashtag 2D2C2D, and then metallic and roughness. So these are fields for these things. So I don't know if this is anything or if I'm completely on the wrong track here, but I searched that as a Pantone color code, hashtag 2D2C2D, and Google spit this back at me. The color code 2D2C2D is a very dark neutral gray that falls between black and dark gray, with the closest standard Pantone match being Pantone Black C. And then the little image icon next to it on that Google result that showed the color had the Pantone color code and the words carbon fiber on it. And yes, the color that Google showed me was close to that of carbon fiber, if that helps you picture it a little bit. I mean, I have to, again, acknowledge here, it may mean absolutely nothing in terms of describing this color as Tesla is using it, but even setting that aside, I'm actually kind of at a bit of a loss here because I can't figure out what this might even be for. The Model 3 and the Model Y just got Quicksilver not too long ago, at least worldwide, right? Obviously, Giga Berlin has been painting Model Ys in that color for some time now. And then the Model S and the Model X not too long ago got Lunar Silver. So purely anecdotally speaking, Quicksilver does seem very popular, and I see it on a lot of 3s, I see it on a lot of Ys, whereas Lunar Silver, again, purely anecdotally speaking, does not seem to be that popular around here because of the S's and X's that I see, it's pretty rare that I see one in lunar silver. So all I can wonder is Tesla considering cutting bait on lunar silver, perhaps? And the reason I mention that is because I just can't see them adding another new color, especially when it would be yet another grayscale color at that. And I can't see them adding another color to either the high volume or the low volume vehicle lineup. I guess theoretically it would be easier to add it to the S and X, the lower volume vehicles, but I guess you can color me confused on this one until we hear more. And then there's one other interesting part of this, again, courtesy of Tesla iOS app updates. They say, looks like a new program will be spinning up soon called Challenges. We see many strings relating to this, again, in the code of the app. Sadly, no extended details on this quite yet. This could be things like supercharge 5 times a month or drive X number of miles on FSD. This could be a rewards program for exploring more Tesla products. And then they list some strings that were listed in there. But I definitely thought that was worth bringing up because this could be a real-life implementation of an idea that I tossed out on the podcast years ago, where you'd effectively earn achievements, digital achievements, for visiting particular supercharger locations and things like that. Basically, fun little ways to encourage you to use your car more. I mean, granted, achievement systems have basically become commonplace in gaming at this point, ever since the Xbox 360 first brought them to the table 20 years ago. Oh, wow. And that just hit me. The Xbox 360 came out in 2005, November 22nd, 2005. So we are rapidly approaching the 20-year anniversary of the Xbox 360, which, wow, does that make me feel old, because I was a working professional covering the launch of the Xbox 360 back at Official Xbox Magazine when I worked there. Man, 20 years. Anyway, Tesla does like to have fun. We know that, right? So implementing something like this does feel very on brand for Tesla. And as such, I will be cheering this one on and looking forward to its hopefully imminent debut. Heck, maybe they'll even offer real-world prizes at some point along the way. Like, I'm talking stuff like t-shirts, Optimus figurines, stuff like that. And if you're thinking, well, no way they'd ever do that, they've done physical prize giveaways before with the referral program, so you can't rule it out. We'll see what happens. But that is a very enticing line of code there discovered in the Tesla app. Let me take a quick moment here in the middle of the podcast to mention my friends at Xcare. Accelerate Auto and their Xcare extended EV warranty. I've got one on our 2018 Model 3. It has served me well a couple times so far. I guess ultimately I hope I don't have to use it again. That is ideally, you don't want to have a problem, but if you do, you want to have good extended warranty coverage if you plan to keep your Tesla longer than the manufacturer's warranty, which my wife and I certainly have that plan, and we have done that. We're at 7 years and 75,000 miles right now. So we are still covered, no longer by the manufacturer's warranty, but by Xcare. And what I love about Xcare compared to Tesla's extended warranty is that Xcare lets you customize it to your liking. So the number of years, from 2 more years to 10 more years, or anything in between, from 25,000 more miles to 125,000 more miles, or anything in between. You want to cover the high voltage battery and the drive unit, the most expensive components of the car, so that if anything happens to them during the course of your extended warranty policy, they're covered, and you don't have to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for a new battery pack. You'll feel good having Xcare. So The good news here, too, is you get $100 off when you select Xcare's one-time payment option. All you have to do is use the discount code LIGHTNING. So go to Xcare.com, pick the plan that works for you, the number of years, the number of miles, the different coverage options, and when you're all set to check out, use that one-time payment option and use the discount code LIGHTNING for $100 off. Again, Xcare.com, that's Xcare.com. Here's a piece of news that might seem bad on its surface, but I don't think it ultimately is. I saw this on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, Tesla's grip on the American electric vehicle market is loosening, with new data showing its market share slipping to levels not seen in nearly 8 years. According to figures from Cox Automotive shared with Reuters, the company accounted for 38% of U.S. EV sales in August, the first time it had dropped below 40% since October of 2017. The downward trend became evident in July, when Tesla's market share fell from 48.7% in June to 42%, its sharpest single-month drop since early 2021. While Tesla has still sold over 53,000 vehicles in the month of August, rivals expanded sales by as much as 120% year over year. In August, Tesla sales grew just 3.1%, compared to a 14% increase across the broader EV market, Cox Automotive data showed. Once dominating more than 80% of the EV market, Tesla now faces intensifying competition from traditional automakers and newer entrants. Brands like Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, and Honda have rolled out new EV models with attractive financing options, zero-interest deals, and aggressive lease incentives. These strategies have helped rivals grow their market share. So, I guarantee that you will see this thrown, you might even hear it at some point come up at like a dinner party or who knows. But you will see this thrown around as some sort of gotcha against Tesla, right? Like, see, I told you so, from the, that's the fudsters, the anti-Tesla people. But here's the thing. It doesn't really mean too much. Now, Tesla's sales, those are ultimately the measuring stick. And yes, they are down a bit. That is true. But market share is the wrong metric to try and measure Tesla's success or failure by. I've talked about this on the podcast before, many years ago now, as I recall. Tesla basically started at near 100% market share, from the Model S and Model X days to then the Model 3 days. Now, sure, you had people like Nissan in there with the Leaf. Audi had the first-gen e-tron, but that was mostly about it. Now, there are so many more EVs in the market, and that's a great thing. Not a good thing, a great thing. Elon Musk himself would probably tell you that that's a great thing. Remember, Tesla's entire mission prior to this very recent sustainable abundance pivot was to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transport. In fact, this jogged my memory. So, and I'm gonna jog yours here. Go all the way back to 2012, back when Tesla unanimously won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award for that year. In his acceptance speech, Elon Musk said, and yes, I've dug up the exact clip for you from the Motor Trend presentation. Well, just listen for yourself. This is what Elon had to say back in 2012.
But I think I'm hopeful that other car companies will in fact copy us and follow through and do electric car programs with greater vigor as a result of this award. So. That's the thing I hope will most occur as a result of this.
That's right. Ryan McCaffrey always brings receipts. But in short, again, it's a good thing for the EV movement overall that Tesla has lost market share. It's not a good thing that their sales are down, but it is a good thing for the transition to sustainable transport overall that Tesla's market share has gone down from its absurd and unsustainable peak. Now we have other options. This is what Tesla wanted all along, was more EVs in the marketplace, and we have that now, and that's a good thing. Moving along to our next story. Yes, there's more. Let's see, we got 1, 2... Yeah, I've got like 4 more stories for you. There's still plenty more to talk about. And so we move to this one. Well, let's go back to Las Vegas. I was talking about Vegas in the beginning of the podcast. And in fact, I was talking about FSD in the form of Robotaxi in the beginning of the podcast. So here we go. Tesla begins full self-driving tests in Boring Company's Las Vegas tunnels. Tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, which is where I saw this story, and they wrote, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority confirmed that testing started quietly at the end of 2024, lining up with our earlier reporting, and has continued throughout 2025, Fortune reports. Tesla vehicles equipped with FSD Supervised are now navigating the 3.5-mile underground system, while Boring Company safety drivers remain behind the wheel, ready to intervene. According to the convention center CEO Steve Hill, these human backups still, quote, periodically need to take control, signaling that full autonomy remains out of reach. The development is significant for both companies. The Boring Company's tunnels were promoted from the beginning as an ideal showcase for autonomous transportation. Since launching in 2021, however, the system has relied exclusively on human drivers, transporting convention goers through single-lane tunnels to nearby hotels. Despite the tunnels eliminating many of the obstacles of surface driving, such as weather, pedestrians, or cross-traffic, Tesla's FSD has encountered unique challenges. The tunnel's colorful LED lighting and semi-polished rock walls create visual conditions that confuse the camera-based system. Unlike rivals such as Waymo or Cruise that use LiDAR and radar, Tesla's approach depends solely on vision-based neural networks, making unusual light patterns a tricky variable. Hill explained that while the environment is simpler than city streets, the system, quote, finds spots that are difficult for them, end quote. These issues highlight the complexity of refining autonomous driving software, even in spaces purpose-built for controlled transit. Although no accidents have been reported so far, Hill cautions that widespread driverless service is, quote, a ways off. Before safety drivers can be removed, Tesla and the Boring Company must prove the system can operate with exceptional reliability and earn the trust of passengers. Hill added that the LVCVA would likely hire independent consultants to review safety data before approving any expansion of autonomous operations. Well, I suppose you could count the Boring tunnels as one giant edge case, right? Because it's just, as the article stated, it's nothing like what you would find anywhere up on the surface. I mean, sure, there are plenty of tunnels in the world, but none that narrow where one wrong flinch of the wheel will result in the car trading paint with the tunnel wall. Honestly, I think it's a little bit surprising to learn that the funky neon lighting of the Vegas Loop can actually throw off the system. But I guess the optimistic way to look at this would be that it's a great learning opportunity for the Tesla AI team to examine the data and train the cars to more reliably and comfortably navigate through those tunnels. There will be more Boring tunnel projects, we know that. And that means there will be more need for autonomous Teslas in these loops. And on a side note, I just want to say that I really appreciate the honesty and transparency of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority CEO on this. He did not give there was no spin on that. He just gave a straight answer about what's good about this testing, what's going well, and what is still a work in progress on this autonomous portion of the Boring Loop project. If only all spokespeople for all companies were more like that, I would certainly be grateful. But good to see Tesla rub off on him a little bit in that way, because Tesla's like that too. They don't really put out sugar-coated PR statements, which I've always appreciated. And speaking of the Boring Company, they have received the green light from Vegas larger county, Clark County officials to move forward with its latest project in the Las Vegas Valley. This time, it is not an underground tunnel, but something above ground, a 6-story residential development with direct access to the company's Vegas Loop transportation system. One more tip of the cap here goes to Drive Tesla Canada, which is where I saw this story. And they wrote, county commissioners voted unanimously to approve the proposal, paving the way for the mixed-use complex that combines housing, lifestyle amenities, and sustainable transit options. The development, known as Loop Apartments, will be built near Flamingo Road and Paradise Road, one of the city's busiest intersections. The Loop Apartments will be a 132-unit, 6-level complex featuring a swimming pool, state-of-the-art fitness center, co-working spaces, a game room, and a bodega-style restaurant and bar. What sets the project apart, however, is the integration of a Loop transit station on the ground floor. The underground station, accessible by 2 ramps, will connect directly to the Boring Company's Las Vegas Loop network. Once operational, residents will be able to step out of their apartments and ride Tesla vehicles through underground tunnels to destinations across the city in minutes. The Las Vegas Loop began as a pilot system beneath the Las Vegas Convention Center, moving attendees quickly between the halls that would otherwise require long walks. Since then, expansion plans have been steadily approved to extend the network throughout the resort corridor and into the broader Las Vegas area. By including a residential stop within the Loop system, this project marks a significant evolution in how the network could serve not just tourists, but also local residents. According to the Boring Company, the goal of Loop Apartments is to showcase how modern housing can be seamlessly integrated with next-generation transit systems. Instead of relying solely on surface roads, residents will have direct access to a network designed to cut congestion and travel times. Thank you to Drive Tesla Canada for that one. Well, this to me is a fascinating civic experiment, especially in Las Vegas, where not a lot of it is walkable since everything's so spread out. Like, the Strip is, but in terms of if you're going to live there, it's not a particularly walkable place, just like the Phoenix area that I largely grew up in. And then, of course, it's a fascinating civic experiment because, as we all know, it's blistering hot outside in Vegas for half the year. So if you can zip around Vegas, I mean, eventually, as the Vegas Loop continues to expand, as I've covered here before, if you can zip around Vegas and do so completely underground, out of the sun, in a climate cool, nicely controlled Tesla, without the sun beating down on you, that could prove to be a really attractive option to some residents. I mean, it might not necessarily make as much sense for families who have to shuttle kids to daycare or school or after-school activities or their friends' houses. But for younger professionals, younger couples, I could see this being really appealing if this project and the larger Loop network live up to their full potential. So I once again would like to salute Las Vegas city leadership for their forward-thinking approach to transportation. They have completely embraced the Boring Company in a way that truly no other city has, at least as of yet. And as I've said before, I'll just say it again here, I do look forward to my next Las Vegas visit so that I can finally take my first ride in the Boring Loop. I don't have any plans at the moment to get to Vegas, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll have a good reason to go sooner rather than later. And moving, I guess those last couple stories were kind of already non-Tesla stories. They were Tesla-verse, Tesla universe stories. These next two are definitely outside of the Tesla-verse. They are other EV news stories. So check this out. There is a limited edition, officially licensed Batman-themed SUV, and it's an EV. Unfortunately, you can't get it in the US or even Europe. It's only available in India. I saw this on Jalopnik, who wrote, "The Mahindra BE6 Batman Edition has just what the Dark Knight needs: a unique satin black color, a 79 kilowatt hour battery, and more emblems than you can throw a batarang at. Best of all, it's a real vehicle that you can buy, at least if you're in India rather than Gotham City. The Mahindra BE6 Batman Edition sure looks the part, and it was developed in partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery Global Consumer Products. The image of the Caped Crusader himself behind the front fenders is a little over the top for an actual Batmobile, but not for a limited edition of 300 cars. And the BE6 already has a wild design. I certainly encourage you to Google image search it. The unique 20-inch alloy wheels, complete with Bat logo center caps, are perfect for the Batman theme, as are the gold calipers and springs. The panoramic glass sunroof lights up with the Bat emblem from the Dark Knight trilogy, visible from both inside and out. It's definitely a gimmick, but Batman is all about gimmicks, whether functional or not. The Jalopnik writer adds, "My favorite feature is the Bat Signal puddle lights," which, yeah, that does sound pretty cool. The Batman Edition is appropriately based on the most powerful version of the BE6. While its 282 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque may not quite match the turbines or jets Batman is used to, it should be plenty quick for his biggest fans. One nice touch is that the boost mode button on the steering wheel, which provides an extra burst of power for 10 seconds, has only a bat symbol labeling it, making it feel like a special crime-fighting feature. Mahindra spread bat emblems throughout the cabin as well. Some are in your face, like the one on the dashboard at startup, and the numbered Batman Edition plaque on the center console. Others are subtle, sewn into fabric door pulls or tags on the seats. Well, this thing, again, if you take a look at it on Google, it certainly sounds over the top, and it definitely looks a bit over the top as well. I'll say for my part, it looks kind of like a lifted Polestar 3, except all in black, of course. And I do find it strange that Warner Brothers would do this licensing deal in India, of all places. I mean, Batman is popular worldwide, but it just seems like, why wouldn't you also do this in Europe, UK, the US? Sort of a strange, just maybe unexpected choice to have this be only available in India. I mean, I don't know, maybe Batman is a particularly popular character there, even more so than elsewhere. I'm not sure. But for what it's worth, I will say, after looking at pictures of it, I certainly don't see Batman driving this. And as for Bruce Wayne, I don't even know if this one would be one that Bruce Wayne would be rolling around in. Bruce Wayne would drive a next-gen Tesla Roadster, maybe a Rimac Nevera. Of course, Batman would maybe rock a matte black Cybertruck as well. That would make sense versus Bruce Wayne in the Roadster. But when I did see this, I did get a kick out of it. So as a big Batman fan myself, I thought I would share it with you. And finally this week, Porsche is preparing to become the first automaker to bring factory-integrated wireless charging to the EV market. One last tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, "The technology will launch with the upcoming electric Cayenne, scheduled to debut at the end of 2025, with deliveries beginning in 2026. The system, called Porsche Wireless Charging, uses an inductive floor plate that transfers up to 11 kilowatts of power directly to a charging coil installed in the underbody of the vehicle. Owners simply park their Cayenne over the plate and the car automatically lowers itself to optimize alignment. Once in position, charging begins without the need for plugging in. Unlike traditional wall box setups, Porsche says its one-box approach integrates all necessary electronics into the charging pad itself. Aside from a supply cable, no separate wall unit or control hardware is required. The company claims the system achieves an efficiency rate of up to 90%, which rivals conventional wired AC charging. According to Porsche, who will debut their wireless charging tech at the IAA Mobility Show in Munich, the charging pad is not small and weighs about 110 pounds or 50 kilos, coming equipped with both Wi-Fi and LTE for over-the-air software updates. Safety features include a motion detector, foreign object detection, and automatic shutoff if interference is detected. The wireless setup will be offered as a paid option on the Cayenne Electric, meaning not every vehicle will come equipped. Initially, the technology will roll out in Europe in 2026, with other markets to follow. Well, man, 90% efficiency is incredibly impressive. The question is, what will this optional wireless charging setup cost? Now, it will no doubt get cheaper over time, and having everything built right into it is the smartest way, I think, to do this. But I'm curious about the price tag because Porsche is not known for having affordable accessories. They are known for getting a lot of extra money out of their customers through accessories and customization on the vehicles. But seriously, though, whatever the price ends up being, this is really, really cool to see. We already know Tesla's going down this road as well with the Cybercab and presumably future versions of its other vehicles as well. And I know there's at least one or two other plug-in hybrid supercars / hypercars that already have this. I had to Google this to double check, but my memory was correct. The McLaren Speedtail, which was like a $2 million car new, and now they're worth even more than that. But obviously, we need this tech to scale up in scale up in volume, I should say, and scale down in price for the rest of us that don't have McLaren Speedtail money. But I'm glad to see that is starting to happen, courtesy of the engineering team at Porsche. Thank you, guys. I will look forward to seeing more of that in the real world and seeing Tesla's implementation next year with the Cybercab as well. All right, that's everything I've got for you in another busy week of Tesla and EV news. But stick with me, I've got a few of your excellent Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls all queued up and ready to go right after this.
This is Bill Daniels, the voice of Light Industries 2000, or KIT. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. Happy electric motoring.
Enough talking by me. Let's hear from all of you in the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's your chance to call in and potentially be featured here on the podcast. If you've got a Tesla or EV question, comment, or discussion topic, I welcome and invite you to call in with it. And how do you do that? Well, there are two easy ways to call in. One, use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software. Record your question. Please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible. And then email that file to me at my podcast email address, which is teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and just call in and leave a message anytime, day or night, on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number, and the number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special out there with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or even put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. Let's go to the first caller, which is Dave from Georgetown, Texas.
Hey Ryan, it's Dave from Georgetown, Texas, just north of Giga, Texas. Forever listener, called a few times. I just listened to your human-esque comment about FSD. My wife and I were driving down the 2-lane highway that was interspersed with small towns, and we came up to a light at the small town, and it turned yellow, and FSD speeded up to get through the yellow light. We both laughed out loud. The other thing was I picked up my car July 26th in Giga, Texas, and I was offered a tour. I wasn't able to take it, as it turns out. It had to be done on a Friday, but they did offer it to me. And the third thing is a question. In my Model Y, I set the height of the tailgate so it didn't hit my garage ceiling door, and it never does. But it doesn't always go up to full height when I'm not at home, which is annoying because I hit my head on it. I don't know if there's something that will fix that. I'd like a suggestion if you have it. Thanks for all you do, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Dave, it's great to hear from you. Thank you for calling in. You mentioned a few things there, so I will start with the yellow light behavior. Now, I am obviously no AI engineer, but I would have to imagine that getting the car to do the right thing, which I suppose means the safest thing at a yellow light, has got to be one of the biggest challenges for the Tesla AI team. Because legally, stopping might sometimes be the thing you're supposed to do, but if you've got someone right on your tail, you don't want to jam on the brakes, right? And have them potentially rear end you. So you're right. Yellow light behavior is definitely human-like when the car gets it right, which in my experience, knock on wood here, it does seem to get right a pretty large majority of the time. Second, thank you for letting me know that Giga Texas tours for new deliveries are already a thing. That's great news. Hopefully Tesla continues to expand that out beyond just one day a week once that delivery center that they're prepping opens up here pretty soon. And finally, as to why your Model Y's rear liftgate is not going up all the way in places where you haven't GPS tagged it to not go up all the way, I'm at a loss for words on that one, I'm afraid. So if anybody out there might happen to have a good suggestion that can help Dave out, feel free to either call in or email me, and I'm happy to pass it along to both Dave and everybody else out there in case it can be helpful to others. But cheers, Dave. Thank you again for your call. Here's Nick from Northeast Ohio up next.
Hello, Ryan. This is Nick again from Northeast Ohio, a longtime listener and now a recent Patreon subscriber. Thanks for all you do. This is more a request for Tesla in dog mode. So I am a fellow lover of dogs, and we are out today enjoying Labor Day and left our dog in the car after our hike and noticed that when you put on dog mode, the rear fan turns off. So we keep our dog in a dog crate in the back. We don't leave him free rein inside the car, but we keep the rear fan on while we're driving with him in the back. And also, if you push keep, it also keeps the rear fan on. But if you hit dog mode, that rear fan turns off. It means no airflow going to the back where his crate is. So if any Tesla engineers are listening, it would be great to have that rear fan enabled during dog mode. So thanks a lot, Ryan, for all you do, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Nick, for your call and for your kind and generous support on Patreon. Both are sincerely appreciated. I, too, am a frequent dog mode user, and I have to say I've never noticed this, and to be honest with you, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I would hazard a somewhat confident guess that the majority of people using dog mode are not leaving their pet in the front seats, but instead in the back seats. Maybe I'm taking crazy pills on this one? I don't know. Daisy, because Lily is not really old enough yet to trust her on her own in the car in dog mode if I'm running an errand, if I'm going inside somewhere real quick. But Daisy is in the back with my Tesla dog hammock set up back there. And she's always seemed perfectly comfortable when I get back, But I do have to wonder what the reason is for not running the rear fan in dog mode. Surely the Tesla team has to have considered it. So if anybody happens to know anything about this that Nick and I might be missing, again, please email me or call in and educate us. I'd love it. I've just got time for one more call this week on this busy episode. Here comes Tyler from Michigan.
Hey Ryan, this is Tyler from Michigan. Been a longtime listener of the show, also of Podcasts Unlocked. That's where I originally heard you from. But recently joined the Tesla family in April with a 23 Model Y with hardware 4. And I've been itching to try FSD, so a couple weeks ago, we decided that we were going to go ahead and give it a shot. So we opted in for the $99 subscription, which in hindsight may have been a huge mistake because it's really good in our area and it's making it very difficult to cancel the subscription. But I do have a suggestion, or maybe even it's a question. Maybe you can do this and I'm just unaware. But as we drive just on city streets, I like to have it in hurry mode just because it's more natural. It seems less like a robot's driving the car, more like a human. And on the highway, I like to have it in standard, and that is because hurry can be kind of a jerk. An example of that might be if I'm going to get off on an exit and I got a little over half a mile left, and I'm in the right lane, and there's a car in front of me just going slightly slower. I prefer it just to slow down, but it generally opts to pass that vehicle, even if it means cutting them off at the last second right before the exit when it's in hurry mode. So I switch it, which obviously means I have to look down at the screen, switch it when I get on the highway, and then vice versa when I'm getting off, which is a safety hazard at the very least. But it would be really cool if Tesla had an option in the settings for FSD where on the highway I could have it in one mode and then on city streets in a different mode. Thanks for the podcast. Look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, Tyler, thanks for your call, and thank you for listening to Unlocked as well. I genuinely love doing both podcasts, and it's the highlight of my day on Wednesdays for Unlocked when I record that, and Fridays for Ride the Lightning. You mentioned looking down at the screen to change FSD mode, so I wanted to, spoiler, I already emailed this to Tyler so that he wouldn't have to wait till I played this on the air, and he was appreciative of this, so I'm putting this out for everybody. In case you're not aware, you can switch the FSD mode pretty quickly and easily by just clicking left or right on the right scroll wheel button on your steering wheel when FSD is engaged. So if you're in standard, clicking to the left will put it in chill, and clicking to the right will put it in hurry. Now, I personally use this in a specific way most of the time. I don't think I've ever used chill. So I basically go between standard and hurry. With 95% of the time I'm in standard. But if I want my car to pass the person in front of me, I will just click over to hurry. And when I do that, the car will typically immediately put on the left turn signal, go over in the left lane, and make its way past that car in front of me. And then once I'm past it, I click it back over into standard, and then the car will get out of the left lane. If you leave it in hurry, it will stay in the left lane. So I click over to hurry, pass, click back to standard, and it moves back over. So Tyler, I hope that helps. But by the way, I nevertheless still like your suggestion of having a separate optional default preference for highways and another separate default preference for city streets. That is a good idea. I fully endorse it for whatever little that might be worth. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you to everybody that kindly took the time to call in this past week to Ride the Lightning. Keep your calls coming, and I promise I will get to more of them on next week's show. If you're curious how to call in, well, I mentioned how to do that, the 2 easy methods at the top of this segment, so refer back to that. Now, as for what's going on with me and my cars, well, I took, as I mentioned near the top of the podcast this week, I took 3 more Robotaxi rides this week. So they were all routes that I've done before, in fact, done a number of times in one or both, really, I guess both cars at this point. So the first familiar route was from my home to our Canine Companions puppy training class location. And it's not a short distance. It's like a, I don't know, 15, 20-minute drive or so across the city. And the Robotaxi completely aced it. There wasn't anything even remotely annoying that happened. And I'll add that on that drive, I also got very lucky and got a very chatty member of the Tesla AI team as my driver. I got to tell him about a particularly wicked edge case near my house, which I think I've mentioned vaguely in vague terms on the podcast before, so I'm not going to bore you with it again. So I got to tell him about that, and I got to complain about the lane-keeping troubles of my AI3 car. Now, I have to say, if I'm honest with myself, he was very nice, but I'm not so sure he's going to be taking any action on the AI3 car. But in all seriousness, he did ask me specifically what intersection that the edge case is at, which, as I've mentioned before, there's a no right on red and then a stop sign right after that it doesn't always adhere to. So I showed him that. So hopefully I can help affect positive change for the Robotaxi network. Sadly, I have not been in the Robotaxi in that spot as of yet. It has not worked out that way. So I'd like to see if the current Robotaxi version of the software handles it any better than the production version in my AI3 and AI4 cars. But so that was great to get to talk to that Tesla AI team member. I was asking him, so like, how much of your day is spent in the office doing whatever else, I don't know, other coding or what have you that you need to do, versus how much of it is spent doing Robotaxi safety monitor rides. And he said, in his case, 100% of his time is behind the wheel as the safety monitor right now. So Tesla is making he said that it is all hands on deck for this. And that was pretty wild. So they've got their actual team members out doing these rides in certain situations. At least here in the Bay Area, there's probably some engineers in Austin as well, I would guess, that might be out doing the rides as the safety monitor. But then the other two rides I took, I had very quiet safety monitors that didn't say anything, which is totally fine. I mean, I said hello, they said hello, I said thank you, they said have a nice day. So it was all perfectly pleasant, but just had the one Tesla AI team member who was super nice. I don't want to give any more details in case, I don't know if maybe he's not supposed to talk to, I don't know what the actual policy is. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I enjoyed chatting with him on that particular run. So the second two rides that I took this week in Robotaxi were to the Tesla San Francisco Service Center, as I took the 2018 car, the Spirit of Adventure, in for that overdue alignment I've been mentioning here. Plus, I just did a brake fluid check because it was recommended, and a cabin air filter replacement. So it was just in for that. So I took Robotaxi on the way back from dropping the car off, and then I took it back from my home to Tesla's San Francisco Service Center to go pick the car back up. And again, it was flawless both times. So it's small sample size for so I've been in Robotaxi 4 times now, 4 rides. So far, I have literally nothing I can complain about. I mean, I guess if I really, really wanted to drill down, like, and get super picky, which maybe eventually Tesla can get to the point where they can address stuff like this. Like, there are spots along routes, my normal routes, where the road kind of, there's a drain or a sewer grate, and the road like really dips down. So if you just go over it, like if you're just kind of in your lane and you're staying in your lane, you will go over that grate and you'll feel the bump on the, it's a pretty significant bump on the dip as your rear or side wheels, one side of the car wheels, will dip into the grade, I guess the right side wheels, passenger side. So like when I'm manually driving my car, I will drive around them as long as there isn't another car coming at me from the other direction. So like that would be a longer term, like, hey, can the car actually see this stuff and adjust around it? I guess that would maybe fall into the pothole kind of category, which is going to need to be addressed probably sooner rather than later, because potholes can be damaging to vehicles, to any vehicle, including a Model Y, a Robotaxi. So, of course, now you want to start squeaking toys over there. She's been so good so far. But anyhow, all of that is to say, 3 rides this week, 4 total, all within San Francisco, which is not, in my opinion, not an easy city to self-drive in. And it has performed flawlessly thus far. It's been awesome. So I'm going to keep using it whenever it makes sense, and I'll keep reporting back to you on my experience. Time now for an entertainment recommendation. I realized at the last moment that the thing I wanted to say, I can't say till next week because it's still under embargo when this podcast goes out. It's a game review. I reviewed a game this week I guess I won't say anymore. I'll save it for next week, but for this week, I will recommend a different game, but it's specifically a free playable demo of a game that you can find on Steam. And that game is called Dispatch. And it is a game made by ex-Telltale employees. So if you ever played Telltale's adventure games, they're narrative games from, at this point, like 5 to 10 years ago. So I'm talking about like The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, pardon me, Tales from the Borderlands, Batman. They did a Game of Thrones one. They did a bunch of stuff over the years. And some of those former Telltale developers have started a new studio called Ad Hoc. And their first game is a similar Telltale-like game called Dispatch, where you play a dispatcher for a superhero group. Like, basically, people call a 911-like service, like a paid thing, and they have a problem, and you have to dispatch the right superhero for the job. And the main character is voiced by Aaron Paul, who's great, and the writing's really funny. Again, this was just a demo. This isn't even the whole game. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the demo of that. So if you like Telltale stuff, check out the playable demo of Dispatch over on Steam. Back to Tesla stuff. Here's a pro tip from Steve in Austin.
Hi, Ryan. This is Steve from Austin with a pro tip. I've been enjoying this podcast since episode 200 and never heard this come up before. The tip is that the card key can work in multiple cars at the same time. If you have 2 or more Teslas, you can program a single card key to work in all of your cars. Let's say you have 2 cars, Alice and Bob. Make sure you have both keys and your phone with you and sit down in Alice. Go to the settings, locks, and tap the Add Key button in the upper right. The car's screen will first tell you to go to your Tesla app and select Alice. Then, place Bob's card key in the appropriate place for your car, either just ahead of the armrest or in the left phone charger bay. The screen will then prompt you to remove Bob's card and put Alice's card key in the same place to confirm your action. After a moment, Bob's key will be paired with Alice. Also note, the lock screen will allow you to name the key so that you can see which key is active. Because my wife and I are swapping our cars out before the U.S. tax incentives expire, I've got a couple of things to say about the sales process, but I'll send those thoughts separately. Keep up the great work, Ryan.
This is a great pro tip, Steve. I absolutely take your word for it that this one's never been featured as a pro tip, which is surprising since I have used this pro tip myself. I have both Model 3s bound to both car's key cards. So yeah, I am a user of this particular pro tip, but it is an excellent suggestion. If I've never mentioned it, shame on me. Thank you for calling in with it. This is an excellent suggestion for the growing contingent of multi-Tesla households out there. Thank you very much for sending this in. And if anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, I'd love to hear it so that I can learn from it and I can share it with everybody else and we can all learn from it. So give me a call. Just call in with it the same way that you would call in with a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. The 2 easy call-in methods I gave you the instructions for a little while ago. All right, I need to finish this podcast before I pass out. I'm so tired, but we're almost there. I just want to mention a few friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be useful to you sooner or later. I will start with abstractocean.com. They have a 15% discount offer for listeners of this podcast who are making a first-time purchase on abstractocean.com. Just taking a quick look at their best sellers. So for the new Model 3, mud flaps. They've got a super hydrophobic camera cover for 3 in the Y. That seems very handy. They've got the ultra premium tempered glass screen protectors for everything. There's the Expel Armor front protection for Cybertruck, the Expel Armor bed sail trim for the Cybertruck. You've got an ultra premium tempered glass screen protector for Rivian now too. It just goes on. The ultra bright lights, the puddle lights. There's so much cool stuff in here. You got to check them out. Abstractocean.com. Click on whichever vehicle you have at the top of the page. Then it will show you all of the accessories they have available for your vehicle. Pick out what you like, put it in your online shopping cart, and when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTLPodcast to get that 15% off of your first order. That's all one word, RTL Podcast. Meanwhile, the Snap Plate and the new Snap Plate Plus that's even stronger, I just got an email from them today, actually. Maybe you got it too if you're on their mailing list. They have the new version of their Snap Plate license plate bracket for the new Model X, because the X, of course, gained a lower front bumper camera, so they had to redesign their snap plate to accommodate for that. So if you've got whatever it is, SX3Y Cybertruck, they've got a snap plate for you, and I do recommend it because it's a nice, clean, minimalist design, and it doesn't stick to the front of your car with automotive adhesive, with automotive tape, the same way that the one that Tesla gives you does. So head on over to everyamp.com/RTL, choose whatever one you like, throw it in your shopping cart, and use the coupon code RTL when you get to checkout for a nice discount. Thank you to my friends at Every Amp for that listener discount. Immaculate Reflections, my detailer here in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. If you're here or gonna be here with a car that you care about, whether it's your Tesla or something else in your garage, I cannot recommend enough that you reach out to Immaculate Reflections through their website, irdetailing.com. And when you reach out, let them know when you're coming, when you're looking to get some work done. It'll get you on the schedule. And the summer special is winding down. $200 off of any paint correction service, $500 off of any ceramic coating package, and 15% off of any paint protection film package. So again, irdetailing.com. I guarantee you that you will leave happy when your car is finished. I absolutely love the incredibly professional, just top shelf detail work that Immaculate Reflections has done on both of my Teslas. My Patreon, I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it here real quick one more time. The website is patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, or just click the link in the episode description. You can support the podcast for just $5 a month. That's the base level tier. And for that $5, you'll get an ad-free episode every week, and you'll get early access to that ad-free episode every week. Step up to the $10 per month tier, you'll get those things and all of those 150-something weekly lightning round bonus mini episodes. The support tiers keep going up from there. I would be so grateful if you would consider supporting me here at Ride the Lightning. As you know, I show up every single week for the last 10 plus years now, and I'd be thrilled if you could see it in your heart to join one of the tiers. Doesn't matter which one, whichever one looks right to you, at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. You can follow this podcast on any of the big podcast services. The big ones are Apple Podcasts, there's Spotify, TuneIn, as well as YouTube podcasts as well. So just search Ride the Lightning Tesla. You should see this podcast pop right up and just tap the follow button. Simple as that. And so what does that do? Well, every time there's a new episode, which is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, you will get a push notification notifying you about that new episode. Just tap that notification and boom, you'll be listening in no time. No need to remember when new episodes drop if you are following on your favorite podcast feed. You can also follow me on social media if you like. No pressure, but I'm on X and Instagram. I have the same username on both. That username is DMC_Ryan. You can also email me anytime for Tesla or EV related things at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Lastly, before I go, I would like to express my sincerest thanks and gratitude and say hello to the top tier Patreon backers. These are the extra generous folks that are really, really supporting the podcast out of the goodness of their heart in a way that's significant to me in terms of the effect on my life. I mean, every Patreon pledge is appreciated. Don't get me wrong. Every little bit helps, and that's kind of what Patreon's all about, right? It's like you're not having one person donate $1,000 a month. Most of the time, I don't think. But $5 here, $5 there. These folks are very generous at the Plaid, Maximum Plaid, and Roadster and Space tiers. Starting with the Roadster and Space tier, big thanks to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Next up are the Maximum Plaid backers. By the way, we did have an awesome Ride the Lightning Patreon Zoom hangout for the month of September last week. As we always do, it's always a nice conversation. It tends to go in a few different directions, and that's what's fun. Like, I'll usually bring a few, like a short list of topics, and then it's wherever people want to take the conversation about all things Tesla and EV, and so we always have a good time. Thank you to the Maximum Plaid backers, who are Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Nick Jacoby, Chip Hooper, Matt Chinander, Robert Moran, and Rav. Finally, a thanks to the grandfathered in Plaid level supporters, George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. Well, that will do it for Ride the Lightning episode 528 here. This is, let's see. Well, no, I'll be recording next week's podcast while I'm still 44 years of age. But then after that, I'll be 45. My birthday is next weekend coming up, or I guess this coming weekend by the time most of you hear this. But yeah, boy, years flown by. But looking forward to next week to see what topics the Tesla and EV universe bring us. But for now, this has been hopefully a fun episode for you. It's been fun for me. Here we're coming in at the 90-minute mark, so I want to wrap it up, get you back to your day, but I do so much appreciate your time and your attention, because those things they're not plentiful, right? You only have so much time, so much attention you can pay to things. Thank you for sharing in the joy and enthusiasm in Tesla and in the EV space that I find with this. It really is so much fun for me to get to talk about this stuff and have fellow enthusiasts, fellow car people. I love it. It's great to have all of you with me. So thank you all so much. Happy electric motoring, and I'll see you back here next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.